Welcome to episode of the Unniched Podcast.
Welcome to episode what?
Episode 4.
Quattro.
Where we talk about anything and everything. Because honestly, we don't have a niche.
Nothing.
I'm Casey.
I'm Madison.
Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date on all our new uploads.
Hey everybody, sorry for the interruption. This is Austin here. I just wanted to say we had some audio problems with Madison's mic. I fixed it the best I could, but it's certainly not perfect. That one's completely on me. I will have it sorted out by the next episode. But other than that, I hope you enjoy episode 4 of the Unniched Podcast.
Play song's been stuck in my head for the okay. Anyways,
welcome to episode 4.
It's been a long time for me.
It has, because
it's been a whole 2 weeks.
There was some not even scheduling conflict. I was just like, we're going to a concert, and this is gonna be too much to plan. So
too much to plan.
But you're back.
Yeah, the star of the show. Just kidding.
Okay. Alrighty. Madison has a little story time for us.
Oh boy.
That she's been saving for the pod, so she hasn't told me anything about it yet.
It was okay when all the information. I'll explain the details in a sec. When all the information came about it, I was like, I need to text Casey right now. And I literally had a whole long draft, and I was like, this is good content.
Now that we're content creators, I gotta save this.
All the drama.
Spill the tea. For anyone that's only listening, we just did spill and the tea in sign language.
Or any deaf people, they just watch the whole thing just for this. They're like, oh, they're spilling the tea.
They're like, we can't hear it, but
they're spilling the tea.
I can't see that they spilled the tea.
Let's see. Okay. So this current job that I have now, sorry to everybody watching, it's just not the greatest. So I was trying to find a different one.
That's why I've left.
Yeah. Oh yeah, congrats on the new job.
Yeah. We no longer work together anymore.
I know. Literally our pipeline is
the lovers pipeline is now
has a little bump in the road. There's no more lovers at work.
Oh, except when you cheat on me with other coworkers. But anywho,
we won't talk about that. Right, job. So then I applied to a new one, and I was really excited about it. It's an executive assistant for this big company that does honestly, I don't really know. It's like,
that's fair. I don't know half the time. I feel like when I apply to certain jobs.
Yeah, it's like some medical stuff. It's supposed to be I know that there's actual products and stuff that they sell or fund or whatever, but it's also, I don't know. When you look at their website, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I got an email from them first, and they said, "Hi, Madison. We found your resume on Indeed," and that was kind of my first yellow flag.
Yeah, it's not quite red. It's not quite red. It's a yellow.
It's a yellow one. But the reason it was a flag for me was because I didn't remember applying to that specific position. Yeah. I did a lot of administrative assistant positions, but not
similar,
but not an executive assistant. Because I know that's high.
That's maybe
high tech.
Above our experience and skills.
Because I have experience sort of with that stuff by helping my parents' business and my own business.
Oh, for sure.
But not on my resume it doesn't say that, so that's why I was a little bit confused.
Yeah.
But I was here, let me find it.
She's finding it, so we're gonna sing a song about her finding it.
Okay, found it.
She found it.
So it says, "Hi Madison, we received your resume as a potential applicant for our position of executive administrative assistant. We received your information your resume from Indeed, and we believe you'd be a good fit." So I checked my Indeed what I applied, and I didn't find it there.
So you're like,
but
that's
also
a question mark.
Yeah, but also I have 400 places I've applied to in the past.
Well, I know sometimes Indeed, at least for me, will sometimes give me notifications. They're like, "We found your resume and we think you'd be great for this position." So I know sometimes they do that.
That's what I was thinking at first.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody a company sent my information to them, which hey, works for me.
Yeah, you're like,
I don't have
to me on this job.
Yeah. So then it says email the hiring manager blank. I won't say their name, but
insert name here.
Blank. And this name didn't like show me any signs or anything, because obviously I didn't know the company. But then after the whole shebang, I was like, okay, because the hiring manager here on their like website, that's like the vice president of the company.
Oh,
so I was like,
you're like that's a little different.
Weird.
Like, why would they be hiring that? Usually, that's like someone lower.
Yeah.
They have other stuff to do.
So then I'll show you. I got this little informational page of what the job is like.
Okay.
And it says, okay, the big reason I wanted this job, let me read it. So the business offers flexible working hours, morning, afternoon, or evening shifts are all options. You are paid $49.68 per hour during the 2 weeks of training, which is less than the regular rate of $54.82, and it's bi-weekly payment. So I was like, God damn.
So I'm gonna be a sugar mama.
So yeah, Grant's gonna be a stay-at-home wifey, and I'm gonna be the breadwinner.
True.
He'll be my slut.
Oh, yep.
So yeah, and all the benefits are really good too. But I remember when I first read this thing, nothing was like, okay, this is bad.
Yeah,
but
it was maybe just like yellowish flags, but not red flags.
But I noticed on a couple of these, like right here, if I show you, there's like an extra period at a couple places.
Yeah, like in those little things, you're like, that's not super professional, but like maybe
it was just like an accident or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is like a worldwide multi-billion-dollar company.
So you would think they'd have their shit together.
And this hiring manager, aka vice president, whoever, I looked up his online stuff, and he's like famous within the company, and he literally makes like $3 million a year, which is another thing that I was like, there's no way that
he's the man that is looking at my resume. Like, he's gonna hire someone to do that.
Yeah. And so then it said email the guy, and so I emailed the guy.
The man of the hour.
Okay. And so I was like, he was like, I was literally like, okay, I was like, hey, my name's Madison. I received this, blah, 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 blah. I'm available for an interview this time. And he goes, we're pleased to learn that you're considering applying for this position, whatever, prepared to schedule an interview. So then I scheduled the interview. Yeah. But he sent me a link to this app called Ring Central, and I was talking to Grant's mom, and she said that she's heard of it before, so that wasn't sus.
Yeah, you were like, okay, it's valid. It's like, someone's giving me validity in this.
And so then he goes, your interview is going to be with this person, blank, which is a different person. I was like, okay, that makes sense. A little bit confusing, though, because if he is the hiring manager, wouldn't he also do the interviews?
Yeah, that's what you would think, because, like, well, I guess for the job that because I start a new job tomorrow, the HR person reached out to me, and then I did the interview with like the manager of my group. Like, what is that called? Words are escaping me, but it's not out of the question. But that is a little weird.
Yeah. So then, oh my gosh, I'm so burpy.
It's the Diet Cock.
Diet Cock? I just choked. So then I had my setup thingy with this chick, and I'm trying to scroll to the top. Okay, so she goes, hi Madison, I'm blank, the interview manager with company. How are you doing today?
Company.
Confirm your interview verification code, date, and scheduled time, whatever.
Yeah.
So I shared her all the stuff, and then she goes, okay, so some of the things she says is a thing that I was like, this is really weird.
Yeah,
she goes,
like, it's just sus.
Yeah, she goes, good, you are to send a message ready for my interview when ready. And I was like, oh boy. And so then all this stuff happened, and then she goes, or I said I'm available when my interview was happening, and she goes, good, let's proceed. Welcome to blank. As we move forward with the briefing and interview, you'll get to know about whatever. So all this stuff. And so for my interview, I knew it was going to be a big deal, so I got all ready. I put on a super cute blouse, like fancy. You want to
play the part.
Like, button up to the neck moment. Yeah. That's a big deal.
If I'm going to fake it, we're going to make it, like...
I tucked my septum. That's a
big deal. That's a huge deal.
And so then I got all ready, hair done, makeup done. I was like, damn, I look good.
Like, I would hire me.
And so I tell her, okay, I'm ready. And she goes, okay. It wasn't a video call. It was just a text thingy, which is another thing that I was like maybe weird. Yeah, they did say it in the first email. They're like, we're going to have 2 interview processes. The first one is like a messagey one. I guess I just didn't read it well. And the second one's going to be a phone call.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Ooh.
Another one.
Oh my gosh, the Diet Coke is really Diet Coke today. Oh,
That's
the producer
you.
just sneezed
bad.
everywhere.
So that was another kind of thing that was like a little bit weird, but
It's weird. Like it's not unheard of, but it is definitely like
yeah, a little
What?
weird. And I assumed it was just gonna be like a couple questions from the typey bit. It was an hour and a half long. I was laying in bed for an hour and a half responding to these messages, and I do think that if it was real, I think it was good because I got to like think about my answers before I actually said it.
Yeah, like
So I did like that.
because sometimes I know in interviews, even if it's like the pre-phone call interview, on the spot I do not do well. I'm like,
You're like,
I'm so smart.
What are your biggest weaknesses? He'll be like,
I
this.
smell bad. Like
I come to work and I reek.
Yeah, like don't know if you want to hire me because I'm gonna stink up the office, but
Stinky. But so that happened, and I was pretty proud of it afterwards. I was like, okay, it went well, all that stuff. Some of the questions like the way it was worded was very odd, a little bit.
like in a way that you could tell English wasn't their first
I
language.
was just gonna say, I didn't want to be mean, but I don't think that their native language was English.
Which that's fine.
Yeah, go for it.
No
but
judgment, but
a big reason why I'm kind of scared is, and why I was talking to Grant about this, they haven't sent me like my like tax forms or anything like that, and I'm gonna wait on that because I was like, if they have my social security number or anything, I'm terrified.
You're fricked.
Yeah, so they do have my address, my name, and my phone number, which is unfortunate.
But
it's
in
not
the
the
grand scheme of
worst.
things, like that's something people could honestly look up on Google.
Yeah, they can find my address.
Like even if they just had your name, that's something they could look up on Google.
In my parents' company, like online, their company address, since we were like go places and they had to decide one, it is my house, so they can
it's
find
like
it.
in the grand scheme of things,
It's not terrible.
not horrible.
But yeah, so then interview or the texty bit was fine, and she goes, I need 2 professional references. We'll get back to you in this many days. She or the guy ended up getting back to me the day after, which was a little bit weird because I did use my mom as one of my like job references because technically I did work for their company.
Yeah, so technically it's not wrong.
Yeah, and she told me she never got a call or anything. So that was another thing, and I apologize if this is insensitive.
We're about to get canceled on episode 4.
Episode 4. I apologize. I got the phone call on Friday when I left work.
Yep.
And he called from a number that I ended up Googling, couldn't find any information about it.
Okay, which happens sometimes.
Yeah, it happens. But he called twice in a row, and I didn't pick up because I didn't recognize the number. Then he sent me an email. He didn't leave a voicemail. He sent me an email.
Which is usually, that's weird.
Yep.
Usually they just leave a voicemail.
Yeah, and he goes, I just tried to call, but it seems like you're busy, so I'll call back later, whatever. And I was like, no, I'm available now, actually. Sorry, I just didn't recognize the phone number.
the number.
So then he calls again, and I pick up. It sounded like he was like covering the speakers on it, kind of, or like his phone speakers weren't good. He also sounded nothing like he looked, which is like, people can sound different. That's totally fine.
No, but I did watch a YouTube video once that there is like actual research science on it that like based on how someone looks, their voice matches.
Yeah,
like that's a thing.
And it was just like, from what I heard on the phone call, also on the phone call, I kept being like, I apologize, but I cannot hear you. Like, I seriously, I cannot hear you.
For that kind of stuff, they should be.
It was like 5 minutes to a back and forth. He's like, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I was like, no. And so then I hung up and I emailed and I was like, I apologize. If you want to have like a Zoom meeting or do it over email, totally fine. We can do this stuff, because he said he had some questions to ask. But he said he had some questions to ask in the same email that he offered me the job. So that's why I was like, okay, it doesn't make sense. And so then after the phone call, he did end up sending me their interview question, or some more of the questions. Yeah. But the questions were the same as the first chick.
Yeah, so you're like, you already know
this. Yeah. Like, what are your strengths? What do you do with conflict? All this stuff. And like the questions were like, I've been asked those in interviews before. So that's why
those are standard questions.
Yeah,
it's
basic stuff. But I was like, God damn, like, what the hell?
You should already have this information from the other lady, which is probably actually just you.
Yeah, probably just you, back and forth. And I looked they're both the people and they're both real people of the company, but just their voices didn't match.
Yeah.
And the guy sounded like, just to get an example, like just like the classic like telemarketer scam people.
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem right.
Yeah.
So
well, gut feelings are there for a reason.
and I have always been like very in tune with my gut feeling.
yeah.
And it was like I had such a bad feeling that I almost threw up because I was like, this is so nerve-wracking.
If your body is giving you that visceral reaction, that's something.
And I told my mom too, and she's like, I love you so much, but it kind of did seem too good to be true. And I was like, don't tell me that. Tell me I'm wrong.
Tell me I'm wrong, Mom.
Because literally every single day on my drive to work, I was like, manifest moment. Okay.
Yeah, we're manifesting good vibes.
I got the job. I have the job. I'm working up this job. I'm doing my thing. And I did get the offer, but I think I just might get killed or kidnapped. And I don't want that this time. I guess
if we don't make it to episode 5.
I died. Next one, Madison's dead.
It's just me on the couch alone. So guys, she's all gone.
Get the skeleton from your...
Oh my god. So outside of my house, we have like a little concrete patio area with like... I literally think it's just a concrete slab that our landlord put down with like 2 chairs or 3 chairs, and in one of the chairs there's a skeleton. So if next episode there's just a skeleton right there, she's dead. She died.
Honestly, fine by me.
Also, before you go, if I cough or sniffle, a child at work got me very sick, so I'm a little phlegmy.
Yeah, our workplace, or your old
my ex-workplace.
My current workplace. Rocky. Here. Love.
I love you, but you need to sit down if you're going to be in the studio, sir.
Lay down.
You don't make enough money to be on camera.
We don't make enough money either.
$0. Oh, why does he look so sad?
It's okay. I promise I will give you the love.
He's scared of the blanket.
You can see him. He's like quivering.
Oh my god. We laid a blanket down in the studio so Rocky could lay down so he could be a part of it, but he's
I'm a couch baby for life.
True.
Too bad. Loser.
Is that the end of your story before I move on and interrupt you further?
One more thing. So I ended up reaching out to the girl on that Ring Central thingy, and I was like, hey, I had some questions about the position. I have no questions. I'll have to make them up on the spot. But I was like, I've got questions. I would love to set up a Zoom interview. Let me know when you're available. Heard nothing.
Well, of course not.
And it is the weekend, so if it is for real, I'm assuming it's just like not a business day or whatever. And same with the guy. I emailed him, and I responded to his questions. So he's like, the job offer. I was like, thanks so much, great to hear. And then I answered the questions, and I haven't heard anything from him. So keep you updated. I'm assuming I just got ghosted, and
ghosted by
fake people.
That's always the worst.
I know, because I was so excited. I was like, finally I can have the means to afford living and not living paycheck to paycheck, and I can pay off my car, and I can just all this stuff. I was so excited.
Be in debt to certain people.
Exactly. And I was gonna be like, and I can, because they offered like full or part-time. I was like, I'd love part-time for now, and by part-time I'll still do like 32 hours, but I just wanted Fridays off,
but just
a long weekend. And Grant's got Fridays off, so I was like, this will be great. I can work from home. I can be here. But now it don't seem to be that way. So if you're watching, this is what I have to say.
If you're a scammer by the name of Poo Poo Kaka, that's for you.
From the company.
That's for you. That's your business. We frickin' hate you.
Anyways,
moving on. You mentioned a little segment idea. Were you high when you sent me this idea, Madison?
I really don't remember. I remember texting you about it, but I don't know.
Okay, so Madison probably texted me very high. And she saw, I think it was on TikTok. I can look back at the text messages. But to look at silly words and guess what they mean.
I do remember.
Okay, so she wasn't that high where she completely forgot.
Just forgot a little bit.
So I have picked out 5 words.
Oh, good God.
That I literally Googled silly looking words or something like that. And
do you know the definitions?
I can look them up after we chat about it. But there's 5 words here. First word.
Okay.
Bumfuzzle.
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 Okay, bumfuzzle.
So what is your guess as to what bumfuzzle means?
Damn, guys, last night was crazy. I almost bumfuzzled myself out of the bar. Thankfully, I had somebody carry me while I puked. That sound good?
Yep.
Bumfuzzle. That work? Yeah.
It means confused or perplexed.
Okay. Okay.
In a state of bewilderment.
I don't even remember what I just said.
I don't remember either, but I'm gonna just assume you were wrong.
Here, we'll say if I was right or wrong.
Austin, put in the screen yes or no if Madison was wrong.
Wrong, you stupid bitch.
I don't need the idiot to know wrong.
Wrong. I already know all of them are gonna be wrong.
Next word.
Okay.
Fartlick. Fart. Okay, I think I pronounced that. Fartleck.
Fartlek. Okay.
Fartlek.
Oh, I have no idea. Fartlek. I'm trying to forget not to forget.
Fartlek.
I'm trying to not. Oh my god! I'm trying to not forget how to pronounce it. Okay.
Fartlek. Wait, maybe here's my sound on.
Fartlek. Artlek.
Fartlek. I think Google is just stupid.
Fartlek. Okay. Do you wanna go to the woods and forage for some fartlek
Yep.
with me?
Yep.
You do?
I do, but that's not it.
Wrong, you stupid bitch.
A system of training for distant runners in which the terrain and pace are continually varied to eliminate boredom and enhance psychological aspects of conditioning.
So I was in the same realm. I said just to forage for things.
Yeah. So, yep. Madison.
You told I'm done with this.
You want me to? Oh, I already looked up the next one, so I already ruined it.
Okay, well.
You want to just do this last word and then we can move on?
No, yeah, I'll do it. Here, you, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The word is absidarian.
Absidarian.
I feel like it's like a spelling bee.
Yeah, absidarian.
Please use it in the sentence.
My teacher got arrested last night for absidarian. I'm assuming that means like hella faded, bro.
Hella faded.
God, that was really cringe.
Um,
Like super out of your mind, wacko.
arranged alphabetically in absidarian sequence. So basically, it's when things are put in order alphabetically, I think.
Has anybody ever used that word in real life?
You know, probably not. Oh, it also says right here, a person who is learning the alphabet or is engaged in elementary education.
Like the kindergartners or the
Yeah, like kindergarten.
Okay. So wait, was it alphabetically?
Absidarian. Here, we can just ask Google again.
ABCdarian.
Oh.
ABCdarian?
So I guess if you pronounce it like that, it makes a little bit more sense. I thought it was absidarian.
BCdarian.
BCdarian? No A?
BCdarian.
I think she's just forgetting the first word. Dumb.
Super. Abecedarian.
Abecedarian. Well, that
Okay.
makes more sense if you pronounce it like that. I think
Yeah.
you could put two and two together.
Yeah, if you said it like that, I probably would have said not the right thing, but same boat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't stop thinking about how poor I am.
you're like, I could have been making $50 an hour
could
instead of
be.
doing this bullshit.
Unfortunately, I get beat up for a living. Not you anymore.
No, but I was thinking earlier, I was looking at my hands because so we work with, well, not anymore, but we work with children who have autism. Some are low functioning.
Yeah.
And so some have some behaviors. And I was looking at my hands because I have a couple scars from some of the children I worked with. And I was like, that child left an impact on my body for the rest of my life.
Forever.
And they don't even know my name or remember me or anything.
I am going to show the abuse.
Do you have bruises on your body?
Yes. I'm about to flash everybody.
She's about to flash everyone.
Let's see.
So she's showing us.
You can't see anything. Okay.
Well, I can see it, and so basically you've been abused. Oh,
I got
now
beat
she's
up.
showing her butt to the camera. But the question of the day, for all of our viewers, what's your favorite silly word?
Ooh, I like absidabathery.
Pronounces it so abecedarian.
Oh, how do you remember abecedarian? Pretty good.
What's my favorite word? Honestly, probably like butt or fart.
True. Let's see. Words I hate. Moist. Ointment.
That adds up.
Let's
Yep.
see. Words I like.
Yep. This is going really well for you.
My brain cells are not working.
But if you have a favorite silly little word, please comment it down below.
Oh wait, we're asking the people. I forgot.
I mean, you could. That was for us to answer.
Or
too.
shout it out. Right now, shout it out.
From the hallway, just a voice comes.
Rocky goes.
That's his favorite word.
He say beef stick.
Oh, that is Rocky's favorite. He probably just heard you
Turn
say
around.
it.
He turned around.
To give a little insight into it, it was my dog's birthday like 3 days ago, and on his birthday we always like to give him a little treat, but we weren't able to we didn't have time because we work, so we didn't have time to go get him his special little treat, but we gave him beef sticks and he went feral. I'm sure Austin can probably put a picture here of Rocky and doing his beef sticks, maybe one up here, all the way back here,
One over here. One over
my
here.
face.
One over
I don't
here.
think we
One
have
over
enough
here.
for all
One over
that.
here.
He just wants the
start
same
this
10
shit
pictures.
again.
I'm gonna make his life really hard. Ready? One right here. One right here. One right here. One right here. He just cuts out this whole section.
He's like, nope, I'm not doing that.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
I'll turn.
But if you have a favorite silly little word, please comment down below, and maybe we will mention
But wait,
next pod.
they should say a silly little word that they like, and if it's something we don't know, we try to put it into sentence like we just did.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that
Okay.
next time, guys. Please comment, or we'll kill you. That's a good segue. Today's theme. Oh, you guys giggling about something that I didn't know about?
Oh no.
You guys having a moment?
We were laughing about what you said.
What
I'm
I
laughing
said?
at how
Oh.
bad you smell.
It
Can I
smells
say?
so nut. It smells like Dove, jasmine, and coconut.
Oh, I'm turned on.
All right. Well, we have to cut the cameras to do some girl sex.
Oh.
Oh, yep.
I almost did normal people.
Girl
Ew.
sex.
This is a
Ew.
fake penis, by the way.
Fake.
Fake?
You could just use
Real?
the banana squishy.
We should do a fidget hall.
Oh.
Oh, no, your segue. I forgot.
Okay, so back to my segue. Yes, I was gonna kill everyone, but that segues in today's theme. Since we are so unniched,
No niche.
we're talking about something we haven't talked about before. True crime. Dun dun dun. I don't know about you, but I grew up in a household where my mom watched a lot of like serial killer stuff and
Yes.
like
gonna sit
murder
towards you
things. And so I've always found true crime really, really interesting. I I used to listen to like all the podcasts of whatever, but
I've never been a podcast true crime listener.
Oh, really?
But my parents, literally every single time I spend the night there, they're watching the cops show or like something like that. Every time they're sitting down hanging out, they're watching one of those
yeah,
shows.
like my mom has always been into like Criminal Minds, NCIS, all of the typical shows.
I've been rewatching Criminal Minds, and oh god damn, Spencer Reed is hot.
Oh, that's right, he's your crush. Wow, that's kind of a funny
Wait,
segue
ready?
to
Spencer Reed picture, Grant picture. They basically look the same.
True.
His real name is Matthew Gray Goobler, by the way.
Oh, Austin's Googling it. He's picking a picture of
Oh, that's a really bad picture of him. Do like long hair era.
long hair.
His like first season haircut is really, really interesting. He looks like a little baby boy. Him in real life though, he's like a hippie nerd. Oh god, I'm looking at the picture with him. Oh, okay.
All right, Austin, stop.
I'm getting
I
distracted.
hate it.
Oh.
But I kind of thought it would be fun to talk about a true crime story, murder mystery story that's apparently one of the most popular unsolved cases in America.
Really?
That's what Wikipedia said, I think. I looked at a couple different sources, Wikipedia and like the FBI, because they were involved.
You looked at the FBI?
The FBI website.
You called them. Hey FBI.
Hey, FBI, can I ask you a couple questions? And I thought it'd be kind of fun if afterwards we both gave our theory on what happened, who did,
What happened?
what happened.
What happened?
Insert the screenshot, because I don't know if you're talented enough to, Austin, I love you, but to put the clip of what happened.
What happened? Oh,
Just like a
the
screenshot. The Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse. If you've
What
ever
happened?
seen that, it's so funny. What happened? But the story is the Black Dahlia case. Have you ever read about this before reading the script today or yesterday?
I actually purposefully didn't read the script
Okay, cool.
because I wanted to hear it. I've heard of the name, but I don't. But I know nothing.
Yeah,
I know nothing.
it's what like before I like actually read about it. It was always one of those cases where like you hear about, but you're like, I don't friggin' know.
I fucking know.
So I also learned about it yesterday, but basically the Black Dahlia case. An overview, it was a 22-year-old aspiring Hollywood actress who was mutilated and found on January 15th, 1947 in, I think it's pronounced Leimert Park neighborhood in Los Angeles.
Huh. An LA crime. LA crime. You said this is a 40s case?
Yep. Her body was found on January 15th, 1947.
Okay.
So, the woman that was murdered, her name was Elizabeth Short. Insert picture right here.
Where did the Dahlia come? I guess you'll tell me.
I will tell you.
You'll tell me.
Bum, bum, bum. Basically, what happened was, like I said, January 15th, 1947, this mom, and I think it was a baby, maybe a young toddler, were going for a walk in the Leimert Park neighborhood in Los Angeles. And a couple different sources said different things, but what I understand is they were like walking in a parking lot or something. And I think it was by a dumpster or just like along in the area. There was a body that looked like a mannequin to the mom. Like, it was like, because it was so pale and just the way that she was placed, because I think her arms were placed above her head. She thought it was a mannequin that was dumped out by like a store or something. But then closer inspection, it was a real friggin' body.
That would be actually terrifying. If I, oh my God, I would, no.
And so this mom, which they gave names, but I didn't write it down because it wasn't really crucial to the case. But she ran back to her house and called the police and was like, "Hey, yo,
there's somebody dead."
There's someone freaking dead. And something else to note is where the body was found, like when she saw it, the body was cut completely in half at the waist. Like, the torso,
both sections?
yeah, like they were completely cut in half. I think, from what I've read in the video I watched, there were two different sections.
So both of them were at the same site, though?
Yeah, they were right next to each other.
Just in half.
Positioned, but just cut in half.
And she thought it was a mannequin. She couldn't see the guts coming out. Oh.
So that's something else to note that is very, very suspicious about this case. The body was cut in half, but there was no blood at the scene. There was no blood. It was like the body had been like washed and like the blood was just not there.
I was going to ask you a question, but I can wait till you have more. But I'll ask it just so you know. Did they know if she was killed at that site or if she was brought there, or did they not know?
I think she was brought there.
Okay.
From what I saw, from what I read, I believe she was like dumped there or something.
Still weird, no blood at all, though.
Yeah, like there was no blood, which was very suspicious. Of course, because like
even would
exactly, because I mean, with any other case, like there's usually like something.
Yeah.
Because like transporting bodies, but it was like I think they just kind of thought that maybe she was washed and like
but she was
drained of blood,
completely drained of it.
Because there was every reference I read, there was no blood at the crime scene.
Oh my God.
And the woman was later very quickly actually identified as a woman named Elizabeth Short, according to her roommate who was interviewed. And then she was seen being dropped off at the Biltmore Hotel by that Robert man and then making a phone call there.
Okay, so he didn't go with her?
No, they took a trip to San Diego apparently, and then later on that day she was dropped off at the hotel making a phone call.
Okay.
And then she was later seen at a restaurant down the street by herself, not with him.
Was he a LA native or a...
I didn't see that part.
Okay.
So that was the last time she was ever really seen. But that's also hard to say if it was accurate or not, because it could have just been someone that looked similar to her.
There's obviously no security footage. There's no nothing like
it was a different time, but it was I think a bellhop, it said, saw her being dropped off by that Robert Manley guy. But yeah.
So she was missing for 5 days, and she was found on the 15th.
So she was last seen January 9th and then found January 15th.
Did they say how long her body had been there for at the place?
So I think in the autopsy, which I can read about, they believe she was actually murdered on the 14th. So her body had been left there for a while.
Okay, because I was just thinking, so she was actually missing or kidnapped or whatever
for 4 days.
For a long time.
Yeah. But sorry, I have the sniffles. In the autopsy that was done by, it says somewhere, Frederick Newbar. He was the Los Angeles County coroner. coroner.
Go on, Noah.
Obviously, like I said, her body was cut in half at the waist. It was suspicious there was no blood found at the crime scene. Even though it's obviously was brutally murdered, like you don't just get cut in half and then whatever. It had been noticed that her body had been washed and drained of its blood, making her skin really pale and white, which is probably why the mom thought she was a mannequin.
Yeah.
Something that is really noteworthy about this case is, have you ever heard of the Chelsea smile or glass smile?
Yeah.
Which, think Joker, if you guys don't know. She had cuts going from the corners of her mouth up to her cheeks, which is kind of one of the key elements of this case, is why it was so weird.
Yeah.
So she had cuts going from both corners of her mouth up into her cheeks. For, I think when I read on the references, it was like 3 inches or something. So like it was a good cut.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
I just looked up pictures.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I
can't
tried
even
not to
show
look at it.
It's bad.
It's very bad.
That's
Like
so
her body
sad.
was like mutilated. It's also in the autopsy. There were incisions made on Elizabeth's body, but there was very little bruising on the incisions, which basically means whoever did it after she died.
Yeah.
So like it didn't happen, like that's not how she died. Like she had already died and then they cut up her body, which like that's a little fucked up. Like you already murdered them, why are you cutting them
And
up?
it's not like they're trying to conceal it if she was just hanging out there.
There were ligature marks found on her ankles, wrists, and neck, meaning she was tied up with like rope or something. Bruising and bleeding was found on her head, but her skull was not fractured, I believe.
How? What?
Which leads investigators to believe she suffered blows to the head, of course. In the autopsy, it was found that the cause of death was due to the lacerations made to her face, so the cuts on her mouth, and blows to the head. So it kind of sounds like
they did that when she was alive then?
I think so.
Oh,
so it kind of sounds like to
Okay.
me that she was like tied up and then they cut her face and hit her in the head. And then after she died from that, they cut up her body. Because I think there were also cuts on like her arms and like and like her chest, there were cuts.
Was any body parts missing? Like, did she have
I
anything
think one
missing?
of her boobs.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so like she was badly banged up. Like she had cuts all over her body, but like the most notable ones that she died from were the mouth ones and blows to the head. And
Lord.
I think I don't know if this is true. I didn't see it I only saw it in one reference, but they had done like tic-tac-toe like with a knife in her hip. But I only saw that on one reference, so I don't know if that's true.
Oh,
But it was like they played tic-tac-toe on her hip.
so could it potentially be 2 people?
I don't know. That they didn't say in any reference. It made it sound like it was one person.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's a couple noteworthy suspects. But something to note about this case is I read anywhere from 150 to 600 people tried to confess.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah, like this was a case where people would just come left and right and be like, yeah, I did it.
Why do people do that? Just to get the fame?
Just
or
to get
whatever?
attention, I think. But every time the investigators would like interview and be like, okay, so tell us about it, the stories wouldn't add up, or like it just wasn't right.
That's like a suspicious amount of people.
Like people were just coming left and right saying like I did it, and then like for years, like not even right after it happened, like for a really long time people were like, yeah, I did it. So the first suspect, and he was like the very first one that police even looked into, was the Robert Red Manley, who we already mentioned.
Right.
And it was mainly because he was the last person to see Elizabeth alive. So he was, of course, the first one. He was able to identify a shoe and purse of hers, but shortly after the investigation began, he was given multiple polygraph tests and he passed all of them. So he was quickly taken off because like he had passed the polygraph test and they were like, well, there's nothing else really connecting him to the murder. Like,
I guess, yeah.
because he was last seen dropping her off and he wasn't seen with her after. But people mainly thought he could be a suspect because he was a married man and she was kind of the side chick, and so maybe he thought she was gonna like the whole wife, all of that.
Yeah.
But he was quickly taken off. And I think he had an alibi that checked out.
Okay.
So he was quickly taken off. The next big suspect was Mark Hansen. So early on in the investigation, a manila envelope was discovered by a U.S. postal worker, and it was addressed to one of, I think, a newspaper company in LA, but it was addressed to them, but a U.S. postal worker opened it because it was kind of suspicious. Inside the envelope was a letter that was constructed out of like they cut out letters in a magazine and like taped the letters together. And it said, "Here is Dahlia's belongings, letter to follow." And inside the envelope was an address book that was Elizabeth's with some pages ripped out. And a couple other personal things. Some sources said like her birth certificate, other sources said other things, but the main thing that concrete I know was in there was the address book.
Was there a return? Obviously not. Like,
I don't
no
think
return
so.
address
Yeah.
or anything.
But on the front of the address book was etched the name Mark Hansen. So investigators were like,
Who the hell is this
Mark
man?
Hansen?
Classic Mark.
But Mark Hansen was a local nightclub owner who Elizabeth apparently lived with at some point or at the time
In LA?
in LA. And when they asked him about the address book, they were like, he said, "That's not mine, that's hers. Like, I never used it. I don't know why my name's on the front, like why she wrote it on the front."
Yeah.
But it wasn't mine. But this Mark Hansen guy had a girlfriend at the time named Anne, who Elizabeth shared a room with. Like, her and Anne were friends, and Anne was dating Mark. But Mark was a little shifty. He kept trying to have sex with Elizabeth. Like, he kept being like, "Yo, you want to do stuff?" And every time Elizabeth was like, "No, I'm good." Like, "No, thank you, I'm good." Which is why they thought he could have been the killer, because she kept saying no, and maybe they thought he was like, and like just killed her.
You'd be like, "Woman, say no."
Pretty much. And there's one source said that this Mark Hansen had spent some time at the Sweden's medical surgery school, because he's from Sweden apparently.
So it makes sense for.
So it would make sense for him to make those kind of incisions. But he had a couple alibis that checked out for like the time frame.
Okay.
And so they were like, and he had no prior convictions, so they were
God
like,
damn it, Mark.
right. And so they were like, whatever, this not leading anywhere. We can't just hold this guy. The last big noteworthy, well, not last, but the last kind of noteworthy, like actual concrete person is this man named George Hodel, I don't know. And this is kind of a long-winded explanation, but in October 1949, so 2 years after, like 2.5 years after Elizabeth had died, police became aware of George Hodel after he was accused of molesting his 14-year-old daughter.
Oh my god.
And due to the nature of that case and Hodel being a doctor, he quickly became a suspect.
Just kind of out of random?
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't figure out why, but I think just due to the nature of the case and like him being a little sus. But police began like doing surveillance on him and overheard him saying this quote: "Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead. They thought there was something fishy. Anyway, now they may have figured it out. Killed her. Maybe I did kill my secretary." So that's from George Hodel, like 3 months after he had this whole case with his daughter. The secretary he's referring to is named Ruth Spalding, and the secretary... Police believe he murdered the secretary. Like, they believe he did that because he was there when she overdosed, in quotations, overdosed. But before calling police, he, like, destroyed a bunch of evidence. So they're like, this is fishy.
Yeah.
Like, you must have did something, but since he just, like, he destroyed evidence, they weren't able to connect him to it.
So he didn't get convicted for her at all?
He didn't get convicted for his secretary at all.
Oh my god.
So they dropped that case. But another reason connecting him to her was he was misdiagnosing patients and billing them for unnecessary things, and it's believed that Elizabeth was maybe one of his patients. So that's how it's kind of connected. And then later on in life, his son, Steve, has been publicly saying, "I think my father murdered Elizabeth," for various reasons. But nothing else, like nothing really holds up to what he says. And there's another thing which I didn't see too much of, but apparently there was a string of pretty disturbing murders in Ohio around the time that they think was connected to her. So they think whoever did the Ohio murders was hers. but it's all speculation.
Yeah. Did they have similar like?
It was similar
MOs
in
and
like
stuff?
what happened, but not enough to like really connect them. So still to this day, they don't know.
Is it a cold case? Are they?
Yeah, it's cold.
okay.
Like it's unsolved. It's cold. It went cold. I don't remember what year, but it went cold not too long after because
What can now see?
like
Yeah.
everything they looked into, like
That's so crazy. My initial thought was gonna be the dad, but that's too easy.
That's
you know,
too easy,
they would have interviewed him. They would have gotten stuff. But
well, and it was said so when they were doing the autopsy, I think they called her dad, Elizabeth's dad, and were like, "Hey, can you come down and identify her body?" And he was like, "No, I'm good."
oh my god,
He straight up was like,
you
"No."
said no.
He said, "No, I don't want to," because he just didn't care about her.
Why did
excuse
she
me, I have
live?
to cough.
She just lived.
She lived with
Heartbreak.
him for not very long.
But
But
why?
then they called her mom, and she like flew out and identified the body.
Why didn't she just stay with her mom?
Her mom lived in Massachusetts.
She just
And
didn't
she
wanna
wanted
live
to
there?
come visit the dad and get to know him, but then he turned out to be a sleazeball, so she was like, I'll just stay here and make a life out of it. Because I believe she wanted to become a Hollywood actress.
Okay.
So that's also why she was there.
Kind of weird that if she hasn't like seen him since she was like what 6, and then he's kind of shitty that he just kind of I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like I
very
would have gotten
odd.
out of there right away.
But yeah, honestly, out of the three big, because there's, like I said, there's been a bunch of people that have tried to come out and be like, I did it.
Oh, I did it.
But honestly, out of the three big suspects, my brain points to the Robert Manley guy, because I mean, he was the last person to see her, and if he was a married man,
There's a lot of motive to kill someone.
like
for
if
that.
not that I ever would, Austin, but if I was caught sneaking around and my little side affair person was like, I'm gonna tell your husband, like, I'm gonna ruin your career, I might, not that I would, but I might be,
I might be like,
I guess I'll murder
I'm
you.
all done.
But
For legal reasons, this is a joke.
yeah, for legal reasons, I'm not gonna do that to my husband. But just looking at what happened, it definitely just seems like a sick and twisted person. Like,
Yeah, I wonder. Another little that I'm thinking is, I wonder if it is the Ohio guy, then he probably has some big connections within the, I don't know, the murder community. You know, classic the murder community. So I wonder if he had people who obviously didn't do it confess, and like he was a part of that. He like got into that, so he was out of the thing, and then just dipped out. With the Ohio murders, were they like similar, like 20?
I believe they were in the same time frame. Austin, do you want to look that up really quick? I don't know what they're called, but I know if you go to her Wikipedia page, like about her murder, it I think is in there.
About the Ohio ones?
Yeah, because I mean, there's a suspect area.
Right. And the Ohio ones were never solved either, obviously.
I don't think so.
Okay.
You're looking for something along the lines. It's like Ohio. I don't know what the exact name of them are, or if you even put it into Google, like Ohio serial killer 1940s or something.
Because I just was curious if the victims were like, if the victimology was the same.
Yeah.
19 what?
1940s. Just put in 1940s. I don't remember the exact year.
Because if they're similar, then that would make a lot of
Cleveland
sense.
torso murderer. Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, because look, it's the same picture.
So why didn't they look into that further if that's pretty much
I think there was maybe a difference in it that just like
that
it
just
didn't
probably
add
wasn't.
up. Because it seems like with every single like suspect they had, something just didn't work out, or like they didn't have the right details for like whatever.
I wonder. Okay, hearing the guy who took all the polygraphs, that's kind of. I feel like, how realistic are the 1940s polygraph tests?
Well, even to this day,
yeah,
like
they're not.
in current cases, they don't really. I guess I don't know. I'm not in the law, but
In the law.
I think polygraph tests have been proven like they're not accurate.
Yeah, and also, you know that guy who like collabs with all the famous people?
Yeah,
who does
he
those
gets paid
polygraphs?
off, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he came out with a video and was like, yeah, when you're telling the truth, it pretty much, I don't know if this is completely accurate, but when you're telling the truth, it pretty much says right away. Sometimes it's finicky, so he said, like, if you tap your foot once, that'll mean no, and if you say twice, then it's yes, or whatever. So he literally said it out loud, like, yeah, it's just kind of a content thing.
Yeah.
So, and like the real polygraphs take like a really long time, and even so, like, how are they gonna? I feel like with enough, if you're like a psychopath and with enough training, I feel like you can completely convince yourself
Well, and
of the
obviously,
wrong
whoever
answer.
did this, they're a psychopath. Like, you don't just be killing someone to the extent that she was murdered at.
Yeah, because like the classic, oh no, my husband or I'm cheating, somebody's finding out, kill. I feel like that's just like a gunshot or whatever. But that was kind of.
So it's hard to say. Like, it seems like the suspects that were suspects just don't have enough, unless they're just mentally ill and they're hiding it. There's just not enough cause there for someone to do that much damage.
And then to think, like, it could totally just be somebody random too.
Yeah, like she could have been walking on the street and someone could have just kidnapped her and just murdered her and
been like,
tortured her.
I saw these Ohio, or if it was after, then never mind. But maybe it was like, I saw this inspiration and I'm gonna do it too. You know,
yeah, because that is such a thing. Is like people inspired.
Like copycat murders. Yeah,
like so it could have just been very. Austin, did you look at it at all? What does it say about the Cleveland torso murder?
Yeah, so it seems like the difference is that most of these were like decapitated and dismembered completely. So
yeah, where she was just cut in half. So like it was similar, but not to the same extent.
That would then make sense as a copycat killer, because if that's their first murder, they obviously don't have that confidence to completely knock it out.
And it was said that in the Manila, how I talked about the Manila envelope, they found fingerprints like on it. Like it looked like someone had tried to like clean off the surfaces. They found a couple fingerprints, but they had been like, they were partials or they were kind of destroyed by, I think it said gasoline.
Oh my god.
So like they weren't able to get any information off of them. So like that they totally could have like probably solved it right there, but the person knew what they were doing.
The pages ripped